Good afternoon, or welcome to your next session of campaign time. Before I talk about your tasks for today and the things I'd like you to perform, I just want to quickly review the last 24 hours or so and address some of the questions that I've been hearing that some students have. So the first one is this. A couple of you have been asking, who are you meant to be designing your presentation for on the Friday? Am I meant to be tailoring it to other students or to the teachers? Though you are presenting to the rest of your class, and so you are going to be presenting to other students, the person that's judging that will be a teacher. So make sure that you tailor your presentation according to what we would expect of you. Make sure it's thorough and detailed, well thought out and considered, and you do as best as possible to address our campaign issue. The second one is that some of you are starting to get really involved and engaged in the task, which is fantastic, and starting to print off some advertising material and posters and wanting to display those. That's great. The only thing that we're going to ask is that you limit displaying those posters to within your classroom. So don't go putting them up around the rest of the school. Keep them inside your classroom, but feel free to decorate your classroom with that campaign advertisements. The one thing that I do say next to that is if you're in a classroom that does have existing things on the wall, so things from your other focus class materials, please don't cover those up or wreck those and disrupt those at all. Your teachers have put a lot of time and effort in making those displays, so please don't wreck them. I'm sure you'll be able to find free space, whether it's on the pin boards or maybe on the glass boards or even on the windows perhaps. So please make sure you're respectful of the whole classroom and each other. The third thing that I want to address quickly, and this is what your first task is going to be today. A number of you engaged in this morning's tasks really well, and one of the things you had to do was to develop your levels of government poster that Mrs. Lobert gave to you guys. A couple of you have done a great job. Some of you are still finishing off, and you might be finishing off because you've really going above and beyond. Some of you maybe haven't used your time as effectively. We would love to have those posters completed, and I'm actually going to expect that they are completed by the end of today. So if you haven't finished your levels of government poster yet, that's the first thing for you to do in this time. So for those of you that are still working on a little bit, please finish those off. We'll be coming around and collecting them at the end of the day, and we want to acknowledge those students that have done an excellent job in that task. Okay, so they're the things I've had to cover off. In regards to your campaign itself and how we're tracking with that, yesterday afternoon, I got to walk through all the classes, Mrs. Spike and I, and got to have a look at all the different ideas that you've got, and some ideas that you have, and some of you have some fantastic ideas. A number of you have got some really good campaign ideas, interesting party names, and starting to develop some really excellent ideas around your issue. Fantastic. Keep that up. Keep working hard, keep making an effort, because the more that you get the ball rolling here earlier on in the week, the easier it'll be when it comes to Friday. Some of you haven't probably used your time as effectively as you could. Some of you maybe didn't discuss well enough as a team. Maybe you weren't thinking about the actual issue or question. You got caught up in some other element of the task, like your party name. Some of you maybe just not being as applied as you could. Remember, we're expecting a high degree of maturity of you guys. You're in year 8. We're giving you a lot of free time around completing this task, and we expect you to use that effectively. Please meet us on this. Okay? So when I come around this afternoon and I see your groups, I want to see a really clear idea of who your group is, what your ideas are, what your strategies are, and how you're going to display those and go forward. A few students have sort of come around and sort of said, oh, other people are taking it pretty seriously. Well, yeah, good. They should be. This is an excellent opportunity for you guys to present a campaign around some issues that you could use to change our school. So please do that. Again, if you have any questions about developing your campaign, please make sure you ask. Don't just sit there and stare at the walls and not use your time, okay? For today's class, we've started to hopefully get you thinking now about how you're going to advertise and communicate your campaign outside of your own political party. So how you're going to start to present your ideas. And there's 2 things that we've decided that you should be doing for that. The first is a campaign poster. And that poster, there's details on page 7 of your booklets. We would love you to make a poster that's informative, interesting, and displays a number of your ideas in addressing your issue. Now, some groups, they might only make 1 poster, and that's fine. Other groups might want to make 2, 3, 4 posters. They might want to show a number of different elements and different ideas that they have. It's really important that at this stage of the process, the communications director gets really involved and sort of has an overarching plan for how they're going to communicate their ideas and thoughts. So that's the first thing. Second thing is to start thinking about other ways you can communicate and advertise. Now, at this point, I could have been a bit more prescriptive, and I could have said, oh, well, I want you to do a radio ad, or I want you to do a short TV advert, or anything like that. I want you to make a PowerPoint presentation. But I've left it open, and I've left it open for a reason, because I want to see how you guys think that you could advertise your campaign. So it's very, very unlimited. Think of, you're more than welcome to do any of those things that I've mentioned and to start thinking about how you can communicate those ideas. The only thing that you are limited to is the time that you have to complete this task. Remember that we're presenting on Friday. You will have time tomorrow afternoon and Friday morning to finish off these different communication strategies. However, don't go making something that's really unmanageable. Don't go out there and wanting to make like an hour-long film or anything like that. Think of some short, sharp, interesting ways that you can communicate with your public and how you can get your ideas out there. So things like radio adverts are a great idea. Maybe a short TV advert would be a great idea as well. The purpose of today is to plan how you're going to do that and those different ideas that you actually want to put into place. Okay? So they're the main two things from today. Those two tasks are on pages 7 and 8 of your booklet. Please get into it. Please get involved. Please ask questions if you're unsure. It's great to see some teams rolling with this. I'm really going to encourage those teams that may be a little bit behind, pick up your game, get into it. You can do it. All right? Let's go. See ya.